Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Cooking with Corona. Not sure whether you're just enjoying the delicious cooking or perhaps it's my infectious personality, but I'm glad to see you're back for number 3. And tonight I've got something for you that I think has got a good message behind it. So tonight I'm going to be cooking veggie burgers. You might have noticed a couple of my recipes are vegetarian here, and it's not because I'm a vegetarian. But what I think we all need to do right now is we need to adapt. We need to try new things, and we need to change the way we behave. So I used to be a big meat eater, and what I'm going to show you is that you can try something different, you can adapt a little bit, and you can still have awesome results. So let's take a look at what we're using for tonight's meal. I've got mushrooms and onions, which we're going to use to make a lovely topping for our burger. I've got the hero of our burger, some black beans. And black beans really are a staple. Everyone's probably got a can or something in their pantry that they've forgotten about. And really they're also end of the world proof, so they're a good ingredient. Also going to add just a cheeky little bit of the leftover tofu. That's just from our previous night's cooking, so I'm going to chuck that in as well. I might blow your mind with one of the things I do with the tofu, so we'll see what you think of that. And then we just got some onions, some garlic, some eggs, some butter, and then a whole host of lovely seasonings. Breadcrumbs, of course, as well. So with that, let's get started on the burger. I've got 2 hot pans on the go right now. I've got a cast iron skillet. We're going to put a bit of butter into that one, and I've got a pot. A little bit of butter goes into that one too. Also going to add a little bit of olive oil. It's important you add a bit of oil as well, because otherwise the butter is just going to burn. So in one, I'm going to put something for our burgers, just some garlic and onion. And in the other, I'm going to put some mushroom and some onion. So we're just going to go ahead and get those started, and we're really just going to sweat both of those down. Give them a stir, make sure everything is coated, that's always key. And as any professional chef will know, as soon as you put garlic and onion in a pan, it smells delicious, can't go wrong. Now I'm using 2 different kinds of onions. I'm using white onion for the burger, and I'm using red onion for the topping, because they're going to provide different flavors. Red onion is going to be a bit sweeter, and in this other one here I've got the white onion. So, as with fighting the coronavirus, it's the little things that matter, you know? So different kinds of onions, you know, maybe washing your hands more often, little things like that are going to make a big difference. So we're going to get these going, and we're going to get those to sweat down, and I'm just going to put the lid on these as well to trap a bit of that moisture in and turn that up a little bit. Let these start sweating down for a second, then we'll move on to the next step. Things have been sweating down now a little bit. Onions and garlic are starting to go translucent. Lid's been on this. They're still going, trapping all that liquid in there. That's really important. We're going to leave those alone still though, and we're going to start on the burgers. So take your beans. These have already been rinsed. And we're going to go 1 cup, 2 cups, let's say 2.5 cups. And we're going to take like a potato masher or something, and what we're going to do is just mash the beans. So these are going to be obviously the main ingredient, but also the binder. So it's important to mash them a little bit, change the texture, so that we can add in everything else. And I'm going to add some beans whole later on, just so we have a bit of contrast, a bit of bite to the burger as well. And that's a tip I learned from Sam the Cooking Guy. You can check out his YouTube channel. Good stuff on there. But just mash these beans. Be aggressive. Alright? Just like with battling the virus, now is the time to be aggressive. We're going to mash these down. And they're sort of forming a bit of a paste now. So, go take a look at that. Got some mushy black bean paste there. That's spot on. Into that, we're going to put our garlic and our onion. So that's a bit burnt, that's fine. It's going to add a bit of smokiness, which is nice because really we want to drive lots and lots of flavor into these burgers. That's really the theme here. turn that off. So we've got onions, garlic, black beans. Now, time for the seasoning. So this is really important. We're driving flavor in. We're also going to be driving some fat in, because that's what's going to be missing really from the vegetable burgers compared to regular burgers. So, using a measure here, I've got some smoked paprika. I've got a teaspoon. Gonna go 2 teaspoons of that. Then we're gonna go with our cumin. 2 teaspoons of this as well. Rosemary again. I really like rosemary for its sort of background flavor. About a half a teaspoon of that. Garlic powder. Never hurts to add garlic powder. 1 teaspoon of that. I find you never overwhelmingly taste garlic powder, but if it's in there, it's definitely helping. And then lastly, I've got chili powder. Gonna go about a half a teaspoon of chili powder. Now we're just gonna mix this up, mash it all together. Starting to smell really nice. And then I'm going to add the tofu. I talked about this earlier. And I'm going to do something that maybe you've never seen done before with tofu. So using a cheese grater, take our tofu, and we're just going to grate it. And we want to shred that into little thin strips. And so that's just going to add more texture, more body, more bite, a little bit something extra to these burgers. So just go ahead and grate that in. Tofu's been grated in now. It's nice and shredded. It's in there, it's looking good. And now we're just gonna wash our hands quickly. Take a look at our topping. So this is the topping. We've got a couple of crunchy onions going on in there, a couple of crunchy mushrooms going on in there. That's fine. I'm gonna turn the heat down slightly, and now we're gonna pack some flavor and some moisture into this. So I'm going with Worcestershire sauce again, a good tablespoon of that. Then we're gonna go with some apple cider vinegar, a little splash of that, adding some sugar, some tartness. Then I'm also gonna add just some barbecue sauce. I had this in the fridge, so I'm just gonna put in a little swirl of barbecue sauce as well. And really the goal here, now that those have sort of fried down, is we're basically gonna be making like a super tangy, flavorful relish. And that's what's gonna sit on top of the burger, and it's gonna help kind of evoke some of those classic meaty flavors. It's just gonna add something really nice. So with all of those added in, you can see there's a fair bit of liquid in there. We wanna keep that moisture in. So the lid's gonna go on. We're gonna put that right down to about 2 or 1. And now all that's gonna do is really just sit and harmonize and become kind of sticky, crunchy, gooey, and just make like a delicious topping for your burger. So that's almost done now. We're just gonna leave that until the end of the cook, and then we're gonna top our burgers at the end. Let's go back to our veggie burgers, our work in progress here. So I'm gonna incorporate the tofu now with everything else. I'm also gonna set the oven before I forget. And I'm gonna add another cup of beans, but I'm not gonna mash these ones up as much. They're in there now. And now we're gonna start sort of building the burger with all the ingredients to make a nice hearty patty. So, 1 egg. Crack that in. That's gonna help bind things together, obviously. And we're gonna go a little drizzle of HB sauce, yeah? Again, more sort of umami flavors, more tang. I don't know, twice around the bowl. And of course you got breadcrumbs, right? Very important. I should have measured that. That's probably about a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. And then I'm adding this here, again, another thing I had in the fridge, nutritional yeast. And it's kind of like a breadcrumb, but it's also got nutrition in it, right? So that's gonna help make things even better. So a sprinkling of that. Now it's time to get your hands dirty. A bit more salt, and again, season. A bit more pepper, same thing. And then even a bit of all seasoning as well. So this is just other spices and salt. So plenty of flavor in that now. Now get your hands in there, and we're going to incorporate it. You could use the potato masher too, but I like to get hands-on, let's say. And what you're really trying to do is just mix everything really, really well, right? Just like with making a traditional burger, you want everything to mix up. And really what we're trying to do is just kind of get it to the point where we feel the consistency is uniform. It's a bit wet, so if it's a bit wet still, grab some more of your breadcrumbs, a few more breadcrumbs in there, mix that in again. And then when we cook these, we're not going to use a grill, we're going to use a cast iron skillet, and we're going to use the oven. So it's not really imperative that they have any particular texture or consistency, but it is super important. Like, you want to be able to form them into a ball or a patty, obviously, without them sort of falling apart. So I'm going to make some pretty robust patties here, and really pretty happy with that. That's going to work for us. So that's a nice patty. You can see the big bits of black bean with everything else, and you can see it's not falling apart, it's not crumbling, it's not slipping through my fingers. So really that's the main thing. You want it to be able to keep its shape and form without sort of spreading apart. So I'm going to go ahead and make a few more patties, and then we'll join these for the next step. Alright, update. Our topping, I've turned that off the heat now. Like you can see, hopefully, there we go. Look at that almost kind of jammy relish-like texture. That's spot on. Looks like treacle in that, actually. Let's get a better shot with some more light. How does that look? So there's some charred onion in there, some charred mushroom. There's lots of flavor from the barbecue sauce and all the other sort of savory ingredients I added. But that's exactly where you want that. You don't want that to go any further. You don't want it any more liquidy. You want a nice thick consistency on that. So I've had a taste as well. It's delicious. So that's now off, and that's just going to sit there. It's not going to get cold. It's just going to sit there. Pan's been heating up. That's important. Oven's just preheated, ready to go. And I've got my lovely patties over here. So I've made three pretty hearty patties. So that's perfect. Now what we're going to do in this pan, and I haven't cleaned it from the onion earlier, that's super important, we're going to add plenty of oil, and I'm also going to add plenty of butter. And this is a really important step here, okay? Because if you're used to eating lots of meat, you're used to kind of that feel, that flavor. A lot of that's coming from fat, and there's not a whole lot of fat just in beans. So we're going to get a nice little pool of delicious, flavorful golden brown butter there. And then the patties are just going to go in one at a time. And what we're going to do is let them kind of swim and live in that butter. And what we're going to do is turn the heat up quite high on that, almost 3/4 of the way there. And then season again, a bit more salt. Don't worry about that, that's going to form a nice crust. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave those till they get a bit of a crust on the bottom, and then we're going to flip them, do the same thing, get them to have a bit of a crust. Then those are going to go in the oven to finish, and then while they're in the oven finishing, we're going to do a few more things. So we'll come back in, let's say 3 minutes, set the timer, 3 minutes, leave them on high like that, or medium high, and we'll check and see if we've got a crust forming. But that's exactly what you want, plenty of butter in the bottom of the pan. That's it, time's up, 3 minutes are done. Let's flip these over and let's see if we've been successful. 3, 2, 1. Ooh. Gorgeous bit of crust on that one. Gorgeous crust on that one too. And then lastly, this big one here. Oh, look at that. Like, that really looks like a nice meaty burger. So crust is super important, and that's why getting the texture right is important too, just so they don't fall apart too much. Little drizzle more salt, and then we're only going to actually kind of keep them on this side on the direct heat for, yeah, probably only about 2 minutes because the pan's really hot now. It's starting to smoke, and then obviously they're going to finish on that side as well when they're in the oven. So we don't want the insides to dry out, so we're going to finish them in the oven for, pretty thick. I'm going to give those probably about 20 minutes. So we'll let those do 2 more minutes, put them in the oven, then we're going to get started on all the toppings and some of the other things we're doing, all the other accoutrements, and then we'll be eating pretty soon. Cast iron pan's really hot now, starting to smoke a little bit. I'm going to flip them back over so you can see. Nice crust on them. Then all we're going to do, pop those in the oven, 350, and as I said, we'll set a timer for, I'm going to give those 15 minutes, because for the last 5 minutes, we're going to add our cheese. So now I'm just going to go through some of the toppings that we're going to do. Got some spinach and arugula here, and what I'm going to do is to make that a bit more fun. So, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and then a little bit of balsamic glaze. So it's kind of nice. We're getting kind of sweet and savory in there. We're just going to dress those greens very lightly. I'm going to give them a little toss. That's going to help break them down. It's going to help make them not as bitter as well, especially the arugula. And then what we're going to do to plate these up is we're going to go greens, we're going to go burger, then I'm also going to put some sliced avocado on top. Again, just that idea of adding some fat to that mouthfeel. Then we're going to go with some sliced tomato as well. And then really jam / relish, whatever you want to call it. Bit of delicious kewpie or mayonnaise. This is Japanese mayo, same idea, a little drizzle of that. And that's really going to be our veggie burger. And I know obviously there's no burger bun involved here. You could of course put all of that in a delicious brioche bun or any kind of bun. You've got a classic burger. But again, the idea is we're thinking about doing different things. We're thinking about doing things differently, right? So I want to show that you can have this kind of meal, this classic patty really, without the burger bun and still have something that's delicious. So, I'm going to get everything prepped up, come back. We'll come back right as we pull them out of the oven with the melted cheese, and really we'll just plate it up, see how it looks, and then of course, most importantly, we're going to eat it. Burgers are done now. Put the cheese on about 5 minutes ago. We'll take a look at those. Oh yeah, that's what you want. Nice, melty, gooey cheese. So, plating. First things first, grab your greens, your salad. Let's get out of the way there. Try and make that a bit more even. No greens. Hearty patty. Oh, these look so good. Now, I think I'll go a bit of avocado next. And again, all that melted cheese, all that butter. What we're doing is we're adding that fat so that it feels delicious when you eat it. We don't want to have anything dry going on. If I've done it right, they should still be nice and soft in the center. Avocado, tomato. Do you want tomato? No tomato for you, of course not. And then, what's the last topping I've got here? Avocado, tomato. Now we've got our phenomenal, this honestly is the magic right here, because this beautiful, gorgeous, gooey, just sucks you in. Just the color and the texture. And this is almost all umami, right? And we don't have a meat patty, obviously, but what we do have is this amazing topping, and that's going to bring that umami into each bite. It's going to round everything out. Lastly, bit of mayo. Mayo for you, of course. Mm-hmm. And then we like spice. And again, really, now we're just showing off. We're making something that looks delicious. Because let's be honest, you eat with your eyes first. And I have to say that I think that looks pretty damn delicious. So we'll do the taste test in a second here, and we'll find out if it's as good as it looks. All right, moment of truth, time to taste it out. We've got our beautiful veggie patty here with all the lovely toppings. I'm gonna have a bite. As you can see, oh, it's still nice and soft in the center, which is good. Crust on the outside. Making a mess, trying to get a bit of everything here. No, that one didn't count. Let me just get... Oh, this is useless. Scoop it up. You know what? That is absolutely spot on. It's not a meat burger, obviously, so it's not going to taste the same as a big hunk of beef, but what it does have is texture. You got the crust, you got the center, replicating that classic meat burger of the crust on the outside, soft bit on the middle. It's got so much flavor because obviously you got all your toppings. You know, burger's just a vehicle for toppings, really. And then really, it's the onion and the mushroom on top that I think, for me at least, as a meat eater, just makes it something that you want to go back in for more, and it's satisfying. And then the fat of the avocado and the mayonnaise too. I'm stuffing my face. Oh, absolutely amazing. Gotta give it a try. Let me know what toppings you like in the comments below. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay full.